High-value women talk to men like this. When a high-value woman talks to a man, every word she speaks carries weight. She's not here to waste time or energy chasing approval. She commands respect with every sentence. Her communication isn't just about what she says, but how she says it, with confidence, clarity, and intention. Because a woman who knows her worth understands that the way she speaks sets the tone for how she's treated. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how high-value women engage men not with desperation, but with power. A high-value woman speaks with clarity because confusion is the enemy of confidence. When a high-value woman communicates, clarity is her foundation. She understands that confusion is the silent killer of confidence, both hers and his. Why? Because confusion breeds doubt, and doubt undermines trust, respect, and attraction. Too often, conversations between men and women get muddled with mixed signals, vague expressions, and half-hearted words that leave both parties guessing what's real and what's not. But the high-value woman cuts through the fog like a laser beam. She doesn't speak to please or to avoid conflict. She speaks to express her truth clearly and unapologetically. When she says what she means, it creates a space where honest connection can thrive. This kind of communication demands attention and respect because it reveals her inner certainty, the kind of self-assurance that can't be faked or forced. The clarity she brings is not about being harsh or blunt for the sake of it. It's about removing any question about where she stands, what she wants, and how she expects to be treated. She doesn't leave room for misunderstanding or misinterpretation. Instead, she paints a vivid picture with her words so the man knows exactly what's on the table and what's off limits. This transparency is powerful because it saves time, energy, and emotional drama. When you are crystal clear, men don't have to guess, analyze, or decode your intentions. They either step up and meet you where you are or move on. There is no middle ground, and that's exactly how it should be. Confusion in communication, on the other hand, creates a breeding ground for insecurity and chasing. If a woman is vague or inconsistent, men will chase to try and figure her out, and this chase dynamic undermines her value. But when she's clear, she controls the narrative, and the chase reverses. Men want to earn her clarity because it signals strength, stability, and worth. Beyond just what she says, a high-value woman ensures her body language, tone, and energy all align with her message. Clarity is not only verbal, it's a full-spectrum expression of who she is. If her words say one thing but her energy says another, confusion seeps in and the power slips away. So she is intentional about matching her inner confidence with an outer clarity that can't be questioned. She uses precise language that leaves no room for doubt. For example, instead of saying, "Maybe we can hang out sometime," she says, "I'm available Friday evening if you want to meet." Instead of "I don't know," she offers a clear stance or says she'll get back to him with an answer. These small shifts in how she speaks make a huge difference in how she's perceived. Clarity creates attraction because it feels like a breath of fresh air in a world filled with games and uncertainty. When a woman talks like this, men instinctively respect her time and feelings. They realize she's someone who values herself and won't settle for less than what she deserves. This not only raises her value in his eyes, but also raises his level of commitment and seriousness. Furthermore, clarity is a reflection of a woman's relationship with herself. She cannot offer what she doesn't possess. If she is confused internally about what she wants or who she is, her words will reflect that uncertainty. But when she's done the work, the self-reflection, the healing, the growth, she speaks with an inner alignment that radiates outward. That alignment is magnetic. It says, "I know who I am, I know what I want, and I'm not afraid to ask for it." This kind of energy commands respect, and it changes the way men show up. They are more likely to treat her with the care, attention, and loyalty she deserves because they sense she won't tolerate anything less. In practical terms, this means high-value women set clear expectations in their conversations about boundaries, desires, and intentions early on. She doesn't let things linger in the gray area. If she wants exclusivity, she states it. If she's not interested, she says so directly. If she needs time or space, she communicates that plainly. This clarity prevents misunderstandings that can cause heartbreak or frustration down the line. It also filters out men who aren't ready or willing to meet her standard, saving her from wasted emotional investment. Lastly, clarity empowers a woman to hold her ground without guilt or apology. She doesn't have to explain herself endlessly or soften her truth to make others comfortable. Because when clarity is her currency, she knows it's a gift to both herself and the man she's engaging with. It invites genuine connection and mutual respect rather than confusion and games. So remember, confusion is the enemy of confidence, and clarity is the language of high-value women. Speak with it, live by it, and watch how it transforms not just your conversations but your entire relationships with men. She communicates boundaries with grace, not bitterness, because elegance enforces respect. A high-value woman understands that setting boundaries is not just about protecting herself, it's about honoring her worth with grace and elegance. When she communicates her limits, she does it with a calm confidence that doesn't come from anger, bitterness, or frustration, but from a place of self-respect and clarity. This distinction is critical because bitterness can repel, confuse, or provoke defensiveness, while grace invites respect and cooperation. Many women struggle with boundary setting because they confuse firmness with harshness, or they fear that saying no will push a man away. But a high-value woman knows that boundaries are the framework for healthy, meaningful relationships, and that when expressed with elegance, those boundaries create an atmosphere where respect naturally flourishes. She doesn't scream her limits or wield them like weapons. Instead, she communicates them with a steady, composed tone that says, "This is what I need, and I deserve it." This kind of communication is disarming because it's not about blame or accusation. It's about clear expectations delivered without emotional charge, which gives the man the space to meet her without feeling attacked. Grace in boundary setting shows maturity and emotional intelligence, qualities that signal a high-value woman. It says she's mastered her own emotions enough to hold firm without hostility, and that she values harmony as much as honesty. This balance is magnetic to men who respect strength wrapped in kindness. They recognize that her boundaries are not arbitrary rules, but essential parts of herself. Care and integrity. Elegance in setting boundaries also means choosing the right moment, words, and approach. She doesn't wait until emotions run high or conflicts explode to express her limits. Instead, she addresses issues proactively, calmly, and with clarity. She might say, "I appreciate our time together, but I need to have my weekends free for myself," rather than waiting until frustration boils over. This proactive grace prevents resentment from building and keeps the relationship grounded in mutual understanding. Furthermore, communicating boundaries with grace means holding to them consistently but without rigid inflexibility. A high-value woman knows that life is fluid and relationships require give and take, but she never compromises on her core values or self-respect. If a boundary needs to be adjusted, she discusses it openly and respectfully, never bending out of fear or pressure. This consistency creates trust. The man learns that when she says something is important, it truly is, and that she won't be easily swayed. Another powerful aspect of graceful boundary setting is the refusal to apologize for her limits. A high-value woman doesn't say sorry, or couch her boundaries in doubt or weakness. She states them clearly, owning her needs without guilt. This ownership radiates power because it shows she knows her worth and won't let anyone diminish it. It also models healthy behavior, encouraging the man to express his own boundaries respectfully, which leads to more balanced and fulfilling interactions. Elegance also comes through in how she handles boundary violations. Instead of reacting with anger or silent withdrawal, she addresses the issue directly but kindly. She might say, "When you do this, it makes me feel disrespected, and I need us to talk about it," rather than retreating into bitterness or passive aggression. This approach opens the door for honest dialogue and resolution rather than escalating conflict or shutting communication down. A high-value woman also understands that boundaries are not only about protecting herself from negative behavior, but about creating space for positive growth. When she sets her limits gracefully, she's actually inviting the man to step up, to respect her, and to show his best self. It's a subtle but powerful invitation that challenges him to meet her at her level. And when he does, the relationship grows stronger and more authentic. This dynamic transforms boundaries from walls into bridges that connect two people who respect and value each other deeply. Importantly, grace in boundary setting extends beyond just words. It's reflected in her body language, tone, and energy. She holds herself with poise, making eye contact without defensiveness or submission. Her tone is firm but warm, not cold or harsh. This congruence between what she says and how she says it reinforces her message and commands respect without fear. Ultimately, a high-value woman's graceful boundaries communicate a powerful truth. She is in control of her life and relationships, and she demands to be treated accordingly. She knows that bitterness only diminishes her power and attractiveness, while elegance enhances it. Her boundaries are not a burden, but a gift, a guidepost that helps men understand how to love her rightly and how to show up as their best selves. When men see this kind of strength wrapped in grace, they don't just respect her boundaries. They admire and desire her because she embodies what it means to be truly valuable and self-assured. So if you want to elevate your relationships and command the respect you deserve, start by communicating your boundaries with elegance, not bitterness. Speak your truth calmly, hold your limits firmly, and carry yourself with the quiet confidence of a woman who knows her worth. In doing so, you'll transform not only how men see you, but how they treat you with the respect and devotion you were always meant to receive. Her words are assets, not liabilities. She invests them where they're valued. A high-value woman treats her words like precious assets because she knows that once spoken, they can either build her kingdom or tear it down. She understands the power embedded in every sentence, every phrase, and every tone, and she never allows her speech to become a liability. Too many women make the mistake of using their words carelessly, venting frustration, gossiping, or engaging in unnecessary drama, only to find themselves caught in cycles of regret and misunderstanding. But the high-value woman sees words as investments, not disposable reactions. She speaks deliberately, choosing where, when, and to whom she directs her energy because she knows that words have the power to shape her reality. In her conversations with men, she doesn't waste her valuable speech on trivial complaints or bitter remarks that drain her power and push men away. Instead, she invests her words wisely, sharing insights, encouragement, and honesty that uplift the connection and reinforce her worth. This mindset shift transforms how she communicates and ultimately how she is perceived. When a woman treats her words as assets, she creates value in the relationship rather than debt. Each word becomes a deposit into a trust account of respect and attraction. Men notice when a woman speaks with purpose and intention. They sense the quality behind her communication and respond accordingly. This elevates the dynamic because her words signal strength and discernment rather than neediness or desperation. She knows that words spoken in haste or anger can become liabilities, opening doors to misunderstandings, conflicts, and even erosion of self-esteem. so she takes a pause before responding, especially in emotionally charged moments, ensuring her speech reflects her highest self. This pause is a powerful tool that separates the high-value woman from others. It shows she values herself enough to control her narrative and refuses to be a victim of impulsive emotions. Investing words where they are valued also means she knows her audience. She doesn't unload her heart to every man who crosses her path or share her deepest feelings with those who don't deserve it. She is selective, revealing layers of herself only to those who prove worthy of her trust and respect. This careful curation of her speech protects her energy and preserves her power. When she does speak intimately, her words carry weight because they come from a place of authenticity and intentional vulnerability. This makes her incredibly attractive as men recognize the rarity of such genuine expression. Additionally, a high-value woman avoids engaging in gossip or negative talk about others. She understands that such words damage her reputation and dilute her power. Instead, she uplifts herself and those around her through positive, constructive communication. This choice not only builds her own confidence, but also draws people who appreciate integrity and strength. In the context of relationships, this principle means she focuses on solutions and growth rather than blame and complaints. If issues arise, she addresses them with clarity and calmness, investing words that foster understanding and resolution. This mature approach reduces conflict and builds deeper connection because it moves conversations forward instead of trapping them in cycles of negativity. Moreover, a high-value woman uses her words to affirm herself regularly. She speaks positively about her worth, her goals, and her achievements, internally and aloud. This self-affirmation creates an unshakable foundation of confidence that shines through in every interaction. Men pick up on this energy and are naturally drawn to her strength and positivity. Importantly, she also listens as an active partner in communication, knowing that investing her words wisely includes knowing when to speak and when to be silent. She respects the power of silence as a tool for reflection and influence. This balance between speaking with intention and listening with presence makes her communication irresistible and impactful. Her words become a magnet, attracting men who value depth, clarity, and emotional intelligence. In social settings, she knows when to contribute and when to observe, ensuring that her words enhance the conversation rather than clutter it. She understands that speaking too much or saying the wrong things can diminish her perceived value, so she chooses quality over quantity every time. This discipline around communication sets her apart and commands respect effortlessly. The high-value woman's words are also aligned with her actions. She speaks promises she intends to keep and commitments she follows through on. This integrity between speech and behavior builds trust, which is the cornerstone of any meaningful relationship. Men feel safe and confident when her words match her deeds, and this consistency amplifies her value exponentially. Finally, by treating her words as valuable assets, she creates a personal brand of communication that resonates deeply with men who appreciate a woman of substance. She becomes known not only for her beauty or charm, but for the wisdom and power behind her speech. This reputation precedes her, making men eager to listen, learn, and invest in her life. In essence, when a woman invests her words where they are valued, she elevates every interaction, setting a standard that compels respect, nurtures trust, and attracts quality relationships. Her words become a legacy of strength, grace, and intentionality that defines her as a truly high-value woman. She listens to understand, not to react power moves in silence before it strikes. A high-value woman knows that true power lies not in how loudly she speaks, but in how deeply she listens. Listening is a skill many overlook, yet it is one of the most potent tools a woman can wield in her interactions with men. When she listens to understand, not merely to respond or react. This distinction is the foundation of her strength because it allows her to gain insight, control the energy of the conversation, and engage with intention rather than impulse. In a world filled with noise, instant reactions, and half-heard words, the high-value woman stands apart by embracing the art of deep, intentional listening. She understands that when she pauses, holds back judgment, and fully absorbs what a man is saying, she gains invaluable information about his character, intentions, and emotional state. This knowledge empowers her to respond thoughtfully and strategically rather than emotionally or impulsively. When she listens to understand, she removes herself from the chaos of knee-jerk reactions that often derail conversations and relationships. She refuses to be swept away by the tide of defensiveness or frustration that can arise when emotions run high. Instead, she creates a space of calm and clarity, allowing herself to process what's truly being communicated beneath the surface. This calmness exudes confidence and control, qualities that naturally attract men who value maturity and emotional intelligence. Moreover, listening to understand shifts the dynamic of power in her favor. Silence is often misunderstood as weakness or passivity, but in reality, it is a strategic pause that precedes impact. Like a master chess player, she waits, watches, and calculates before making her move. This patience demonstrates self-control and respect for herself and the other person. It signals that she is not desperate to fill every moment with noise but values meaningful exchange. Men are drawn to this kind of presence because it promises depth, stability, and respect. When she does speak, her words carry weight precisely because they come after careful consideration. The high-value woman also uses listening as a mirror to reflect back what she hears, clarifying and confirming to ensure there are no misunderstandings. This practice builds trust because it shows she values the man's thoughts and feelings enough to fully grasp them. It diffuses tension by making the other person feel seen and heard, a powerful emotional experience that fosters connection. In contrast, reactive listening, where one simply waits to respond or defend, is shallow and often escalates conflict. It leads to misunderstandings, hurt feelings, and missed opportunities for growth. The high-value woman avoids this trap by staying present and curious, asking thoughtful questions that deepen the conversation rather than shutting it down. This curiosity is magnetic because it makes men feel respected and appreciated. Beyond just words, she listens to the unspoken messages, body language, tone, and energy. She picks up on subtle cues that reveal true feelings or hidden concerns. This intuitive listening enables her to respond with empathy and wisdom, addressing needs that may not even be verbalized. This skill makes her a rare and treasured partner because she creates a safe emotional environment where vulnerability is welcomed, not judged. Another layer of her listening power is that she uses silence to her advantage, not just in conversations, but also in moments when a response is not required or would weaken her position. She understands that sometimes the most powerful thing she can do is to say nothing at all, allowing space for reflection or giving the other person room to speak more freely. This strategic silence commands respect because it shows confidence and patience. She is not rushed or anxious to assert herself, but trusts the process of communication. In social settings, her listening skills set her apart. While others may dominate conversations or talk over one another, she stands as a pillar of attentiveness. This quality draws people in, making her the woman everyone wants to talk to and the one men notice immediately. They sense her genuine interest and emotional availability, qualities that are increasingly rare and highly valued. Furthermore, listening to understand strengthens her emotional resilience. By processing information calmly and thoroughly, she protects herself from being manipulated or caught off guard. She recognizes when someone is testing her boundaries, being dishonest, or hiding their true intentions. giving her the power to choose how to respond or disengage if necessary. This awareness is crucial in maintaining her high value status because it prevents emotional depletion and preserves her integrity. Her ability to listen deeply also transforms conflict into opportunity. Instead of escalating arguments, she uses understanding to find common ground and solutions. She stays grounded, avoiding the trap of defensiveness or blame, which can damage relationships. This approach not only resolves issues but also deepens intimacy because it fosters mutual respect and cooperation. Importantly, the high-value woman models this behavior consistently, creating a culture of respect in all her relationships. Men learn from her example and often mirror her listening style, which elevates the entire dynamic. This mutual attentiveness builds stronger, healthier connections that are based on genuine understanding rather than surface-level interaction. Another profound effect of her listening is how it boosts her own self-awareness and growth. By absorbing diverse perspectives with openness and reflection, she gains clarity about her own values, desires, and emotional patterns. This inner wisdom enhances her confidence and guides her decisions, making her an even more compelling and grounded woman. In intimate relationships, her listening becomes a powerful form of love and validation. Men feel truly seen and valued when she listens to understand, and this fosters deep loyalty and affection. Her presence becomes a safe harbor where they can be vulnerable without fear of judgment or dismissal. This emotional sanctuary is rare and precious, making her indispensable as a partner. Ultimately, the high-value woman's commitment to listening to understand rather than react elevates her entire relational experience. It positions her as a leader in communication, one who commands respect, nurtures connection, and wields power through quiet strength. This ability not only transforms her interactions with men, but also enhances every area of her life. She becomes a woman who doesn't just speak to be heard, but listens to truly connect. And in that connection lies her greatest influence and attraction. In a world that often rewards loud voices and quick reactions, she stands out as a beacon of thoughtful presence and strategic silence, proving that true power moves in silence before it strikes. She leads conversations with confidence. Authority is felt, not forced. A high-value woman leads conversations with an effortless confidence that commands attention without ever needing to force it. This kind of authority isn't loud, aggressive, or domineering. It's subtle, grounded, and magnetic. She understands that true leadership in communication comes from a place of self-assurance and clarity, not from the need to prove or dominate. When she speaks, her confidence sets the tone for the entire interaction, shaping how men receive her message and how they respond. This authority is felt rather than forced, meaning men instinctively recognize her presence and respect her without resistance or conflict. It's not about controlling the conversation or overpowering others. It's about guiding it with purpose and grace. The high-value woman leads because she knows where she stands and what she wants to communicate. She has done the inner work to build unshakable confidence in herself, her values, and her voice. This self-trust allows her to express her thoughts clearly and authentically without second guessing or hesitation. When she shares an opinion or asks a question, it carries weight because it's rooted in genuine belief and insight. This authenticity builds trust and admiration, making men eager to engage with her and value her perspective. Moreover, leading conversations with confidence means she takes initiative without fear of rejection or judgment. She doesn't wait for permission or validation to express herself. Instead, she steps into the space with calm certainty, knowing that her voice deserves to be heard. This proactive approach disrupts the common dynamic where women are often expected to be passive or deferential, turning the interaction into a balanced exchange of ideas and energy. Another key aspect of her conversational leadership is her ability to listen actively and respond thoughtfully. Confidence doesn't mean dominating the dialogue. It means balancing speaking with genuine listening. She creates an environment where both voices matter, encouraging open and honest communication. This dynamic makes men feel valued and respected, which in turn deepens attraction and connection. The high-value woman also uses her nonverbal communication to lead with confidence. Her posture is upright but relaxed, her eye contact steady but warm, and her gestures deliberate but natural. These subtle cues amplify her verbal message and reinforce her authority without coming across as intimidating or overbearing. This harmony between body language and speech creates a powerful presence that draws people in and holds their attention effortlessly. Additionally, she chooses her words with care, avoiding filler phrases or uncertainty markers like "I think," "maybe," or "I'm not sure." Instead, she speaks with clarity and conviction, using language that inspires trust and respect. This careful choice of words demonstrates that she values her own voice and expects others to do the same. She also knows when to use humor, warmth, or softness to balance her authority, making her approachable and relatable rather than distant or cold. Leading conversations with confidence also means she manages disagreement with poise. When opinions clash, she remains calm and composed, addressing differences with respect rather than defensiveness or aggression. She understands that healthy conflict can lead to growth and deeper understanding if handled correctly. This maturity in communication sets her apart and encourages men to meet her level of emotional intelligence. Furthermore, the high-value woman is mindful of pacing and timing in conversations. She knows when to speak up and when to hold back, allowing the dialogue to flow naturally without forcing her presence. This patience reflects deep self-control and awareness, signaling that she's comfortable in her own skin and doesn't need to rush to fill silences. Men respond positively to this measured rhythm, finding her both intriguing and reassuring. Her confidence also extends to the topics she chooses to discuss. She isn't afraid to bring up meaningful, challenging, or intimate subjects that others might avoid. By doing so, she demonstrates intellectual curiosity and emotional bravery, qualities that command respect and inspire deeper connection. This openness invites men to engage on a higher level, moving beyond superficial small talk to conversations that matter. Another important element of her leadership is the ability to set conversational boundaries. She gracefully steers discussions away from negativity, gossip, or topics that don't serve her values. She does this without judgment or harshness, simply guiding the energy toward more positive, empowering dialogue. This boundary setting reinforces her authority and shows that she controls the space she inhabits, which men find incredibly attractive. The high-value woman also leads by example through consistency in her communication. She speaks honestly and follows through on her words, building credibility and trust. When she says she'll do something, she does it. This alignment between word and action strengthens her influence and sets a standard that encourages others to rise to her level. Men appreciate this reliability and feel secure in her presence. Importantly, leading conversations with confidence is not about being perfect or never making mistakes. It's about owning her voice, learning from experience, and continuously growing. The high-value woman embraces vulnerability as part of her leadership, showing that strength includes humility and openness. This balanced approach makes her authentic and relatable, deepening the emotional bond with men. She knows that authority is not something to be wielded aggressively, but something to be embodied naturally through self-awareness and respect. In practice, this means she prepares herself mentally and emotionally before important conversations. She reflects on her goals, values, and boundaries so she can communicate clearly and stay grounded. This preparation boosts her confidence and helps her navigate challenging discussions with ease. She also practices self-care and personal development regularly, recognizing that her inner state directly impacts her communication effectiveness and presence. Finally, the high-value woman's confident leadership in conversation transforms the entire dynamic with men. It elevates the relationship from a casual exchange to a meaningful connection based on mutual respect and admiration. Men are drawn to her not only for her beauty or charm, but for the strength and clarity of her voice. She becomes a beacon of authority that inspires and commands loyalty. When she leads with confidence, she not only shapes the conversation, but also shapes how men see her and how they choose to show up in her life. In essence, this kind of leadership is a cornerstone of her high value status. It's the invisible force that underpins every interaction and relationship, ensuring that she is always respected, heard, and desired.